Chosen ones, stop for just a moment. This is not just another video, and you did not land here by accident. There are moments in life when heaven itself seems to tap your shoulder and say, "Pay attention." This is one of those moments. Because the pain you have survived, the silence you have carried, and the battles you thought nobody noticed were never random. They were shaping something sacred. You may have spent years feeling like the odd one out, the misunderstood one, the one who could walk into a room full of people and still feel invisible. But invisibility was never your curse. Sometimes it is the veil that protects the chosen while they are still being prepared for their assignment. And that preparation is not gentle, it is not polite, it is fire. There is a kind of sorrow that only awakened souls know. It is the pain of knowing you are meant for more, while the world keeps trying to shrink you into less. It is the ache of carrying a light that others cannot explain, and so they mock it, fear it, or try to extinguish it. But listen closely. The very thing they could not understand was the very thing God placed inside you on purpose. You were not built to blend in. You were not created to be ordinary. Somewhere in the hidden chambers of your story, before the tears, before the betrayal, before the lonely nights where you questioned everything, God marked you. And when heaven marks a person, the earth begins to react. Resistance rises, delay appears, confusion enters the room. But none of that means you are abandoned. It means you are significant. This is why your path has felt so different. While others were being carried by comfort, you were being forged by confrontation. While others were being entertained, you were being awakened. While others were chasing applause, you were being led through silence. And that silence was not emptiness, it was instruction. It was the sound of heaven, teaching your spirit how to hear beyond the noise of the world. A chosen one often feels like a mystery, even to themselves. You may have sensed it since childhood, that strange feeling that you were here for a reason too deep to explain. Maybe you never fit in fully, no matter how hard you tried. Maybe you have always felt energy before words, truth before proof, and danger before it revealed its face. That is not madness, that is spiritual sensitivity. That is awareness. That is the beginning of awakening. And awakening is not a soft journey. It will cost you the life you once accepted. It will strip away false friendships, fake environments, and versions of yourself built only to survive. You will lose people who loved the mask, but not the soul beneath it. You will outgrow places that once felt familiar. You will begin to see the world not as it is presented, but as it truly is. And once that vision opens, there is no going back. That is why chosen ones are often misunderstood. The world does not know what to do with someone who sees through illusion. It does not know how to handle a soul that cannot be controlled by fear, trends, or approval. So it tries to silence that soul. It tries to label it, isolate it, confuse it, shame it. But what society calls strange, heaven often calls set apart. You may have noticed how the world rewards the loudest voices, not always the truest ones. It praises those who conform and pressures those who question. It teaches people to hide their wounds behind smiles, to bury their intuition, to call numbness peace. But you were never meant to become numb. You were meant to become awake. And awake people are dangerous to systems built on deception. That is why your life has felt like a battlefield. Your tears were not just tears, they were prayers. Your silence was not weakness, it was survival. Your loneliness was not punishment, it was separation. God often isolates the chosen, not because he has forgotten them, but because he is protecting them from voices that would poison their destiny before it blooms. There were times you thought the pain was too much. Times you wondered why the hardest seasons seemed to find you again and again. But every wound had a message. Every loss had a lesson. Every betrayal revealed a door that should never have been trusted. God was teaching you to discern the difference between what is familiar and what is faithful, and that lesson can only be learned through fire. You had to learn that not every smile is safe, not every open door is divine, not every person who praises you is sent for you. Chosen ones are often tested through relationships because the enemy knows that influence begins with connection, so he sends confusion where clarity should live. He sends counterfeit love where authentic support should stand. He sends distraction where purpose should rise. But the spirit within you begins to recognize the pattern. At some point you stopped being able to ignore the signs. The repeated dreams, the deep inner knowing, the way certain places felt heavy without reason, the way your body reacted before your mind could explain, the way truth kept finding you even when you were trying to look away. That is awakening. It is not always loud. Sometimes it comes like a whisper that will not leave you alone. And when awakening begins, everything changes. You begin to feel less interested in what once entertained you. Small talk becomes exhausting. Fake energy becomes painful. Empty goals begin to look hollow. You start craving truth, depth, stillness, and God's presence in ways you never did before. That hunger is not random. It is your spirit remembering where it came from. The chosen are often tired, but it is a sacred kind of tiredness. Not the tiredness of failure, but the exhaustion of carrying more than people can see. You have been the strong one for too long, the understanding one, the one who gave even when empty, the one who showed up with a broken heart and still offered compassion. And the world rarely thanks the souls that hold everything together quietly. But heaven saw it all. God saw the nights you cried without making a sound. He saw the prayers you whispered when you did not have the strength to speak. He saw the moments you were betrayed and still chose not to become bitter. He saw the times you could have given up, but something inside you refused to die. That something was divine. That something was placed there for this very hour. The truth is, chosen ones are often refined through suffering because their assignment requires an unshakable spirit. You cannot carry a message from God while being easily manipulated by pain. You cannot carry light while still being controlled by fear. So God allows the fire to touch you, not to destroy you, but to remove everything fragile, false, and temporary. What remains is what can survive the weight of destiny. This is why your transformation has felt so painful. You were not merely healing, you were being remade. You were not just learning lessons, you were being aligned. You were not just losing things, you were being emptied of everything that could not go with you into the next level of your life. And yes, that process can feel like death, but it is the death of the old self that makes space for the life you were always meant to live. There is a strange loneliness that comes with being spiritually awake. You can be surrounded by people and still feel like you are standing on another shore. You hear conversations, but your soul is listening for meaning. You see celebrations, but your spirit is searching for truth. That distance can hurt deeply, yet it is often the sign that your inner world has outgrown the outer one. Do not mistake that loneliness for abandonment. Sometimes God separates the chosen from the crowd because the crowd is too noisy to hear the instruction meant for their next season. In the quiet, you begin to notice what matters. You begin to hear what was always there. You begin to understand that heaven speaks most clearly when the world is finally silent enough to be ignored. The more you awaken, the more the old version of life begins to feel impossible to continue. You cannot force yourself back into lies once truth has touched your spirit. You cannot pretend ignorance once the veil has lifted. You cannot fully return to the life that once kept you asleep. That is why your healing may have made some people uncomfortable. They were used to the version of you that never questioned, never challenged, never saw through the game. But now you see, and seeing changes everything. You see the masks. You see the performances. You see who speaks from love and who speaks from need. You see who celebrates your growth and who secretly resents it. You see who came to help you rise and who came to keep you distracted. And with that vision comes responsibility, because once you know, you cannot unknow. Once you awaken, you cannot pretend to sleep. The chosen one's journey is often marked by a recurring pattern. First comes the call, then comes the confusion, then comes the isolation, then comes the fire, and after the fire there is the rising. But rising is not instant. There is often a long season where it looks like nothing is changing, even while everything inside you is changing. That hidden season is where faith is tested and character is sealed. This is where many people break, not because they are weak, but because the pressure is relentless. Yet you are still here, still breathing, still standing, still carrying a light the darkness could not swallow. That is not luck. That is grace. That is protection. That is a covenant with purpose still active over your life. And right here, in the middle of this message, I need you to do something simple and powerful. Comment the word light below, like this video, and subscribe to Born into Light, because there are many chosen ones who need to hear this truth before they forget who they are. Your voice in the comments may be the confirmation another soul has been waiting for. Now listen carefully. The enemy does not fear perfect people. The enemy fears awakened ones, because awakened ones begin to remember their authority. They stop begging for permission to exist. They stop shrinking to fit broken systems. They stop worshipping approval. And when that happens, the whole atmosphere around them shifts. You have probably felt that shift yourself. The moment you decided to honor your spirit, your life began to expose what was no longer real. Some friendships became silent. Some relationships began to crack. Some paths suddenly felt heavy. That was not failure. That was revelation. God was showing you what could not travel with you into your next chapter. And the next chapter is not small. It will require courage you did not know you had. It will require peace that does not depend on external validation. It will require you to trust the unseen when the seen is still catching up. But the same God who carried you through the valley will not abandon you at the edge of the promise. He did not bring you this far to leave you now. You have been feeling the pull for a reason. The pull toward prayer. The pull toward silence. The pull toward truth. The pull toward deeper understanding. The pull away from what is shallow and fake. That pull is not confusion. It is calling. Your spirit is being drawn back to its original language. And when that happens, nothing that is counterfeit can satisfy you anymore. Chosen ones often carry a grief the world cannot name. It is not just grief over loss. It is grief over wasted years, unseen gifts, broken trust, and the heavy realization that you had to suffer through what others never had to face. But even that grief is holy when surrendered, because it becomes wisdom. It becomes discernment. It becomes the tenderness that allows you to recognize pain in others before they ever say a word. That is part of your gift. You feel deeply because you were meant to carry depth. You notice what others ignore because your soul was trained in the details. You sense what is off because your spirit has learned to survive by truth, not illusion. And though that sensitivity may have once felt like a burden, it is actually a sacred instrument. It is how God keeps guiding you through a world that often runs on appearances. There will be seasons when you wonder why your blessings seem delayed, why your life is taking so long to unfold, why others appear to move effortlessly while you wrestle through every step. But chosen ones are not built for shallow foundations. Your blessing has to be anchored deep enough to survive the weight of your story. What is being prepared for you must be strong enough to hold your testimony without collapsing under it. That is why your patience matters. That is why your endurance matters. That is why your endurance matters. That is why your tears mattered. Every tear watered something invisible. Every prayer opened a door you could not yet see. Every act of faith in a dark season created a path for what was coming next. God was not wasting your pain. He was weaving it into purpose. There is a moment in every chosen one's journey when the suffering begins to reveal its hidden shape. The betrayal that broke you taught you discernment. The rejection that wounded you freed you from dependency on human approval. The isolation that made you feel abandoned actually gave you room to hear God more clearly. The tears you thought would drown you became the very water that cleansed your spirit for the calling ahead. And this is the part the world does not understand. It sees the outcome and calls it luck. It sees the peace and does not know the war that made it possible. It sees the glow and has no idea how many nights were spent in ashes. It sees the strength and cannot imagine the breaking that preceded it. But you know, and heaven knows, and that is enough. The truth is, God does not simply comfort the chosen. He commissions them. He does not just heal them. He sends them. He does not merely rescue them from pain. He transforms them through it into living evidence that darkness never gets the final word. That is why your story matters. That is why your survival matters. That is why your awakening matters. You are not just living, you are testifying. And if you have felt like the tears never ended, hear this clearly. Even tears have a purpose in the hands of God. Some tears wash away fear. Some tears carry prayer. Some tears break the silence between you and heaven when words fail. And some tears are the sign that your heart is still soft enough to receive what God is about to pour into it. Your tears did not disqualify you. They prepared you. Now something is shifting. You're beginning to understand that the pain was never proof that you were forgotten. It was proof that you were being processed. The pressure was never random. It was refining. The resistance was never just opposition. It was evidence that your life held weight in the spiritual realm. And if the battle was intense, that only means the calling is greater than you realized. So hold on to your fire. Hold on to your tenderness. Hold on to your faith. Do not let the lies of the world convince you that your sensitivity is weakness, or that your depth is too much, or that your difference is a flaw. Your difference is the signature of God on your life. It is the reason you can survive what was meant to break you and still rise with light in your eyes. You are not behind. You are being built. You are not lost. You are being led. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. And even if the road has been long, even if the tears have been many, even if the nights have felt endless, the God who saw your suffering is the same God who is writing your restoration in ways you cannot yet imagine. So when the world calls you too sensitive, too intense, too quiet, too strange, too deep, too different, remember that heaven often names its favorites with words the crowd does not understand. The chosen are rarely comfortable in ordinary places because they were made to carry extraordinary truth. That truth may upset the systems, it may disturb the masks, it may disturb the shadows, but it will also free the soul that is ready to hear it. And you are ready, more ready than you know. The tears have done their work. The silence has done its work. The waiting has done its work. The fire has done its work. The fire has done its work. Now the light inside you is becoming harder to deny, harder to suppress, harder to ignore. And there are moments when that light will feel so strong that even your own heart will tremble at it. Because this is what it means when God finally smiles through tears. It means the season of hidden pain is beginning to give way to visible grace. It means the suffering did not win. It means the story was never ending in the valley. It means what hurt you was never stronger than what was sent to heal you. It means that every tear you cried was seen. Every wound was counted, every prayer was heard, and the mercy of God is rising around you now, quietly at first, then all at once like dawn breaking over a world that thought the night would last forever. And just when the darkness thought it had named you, heaven began to answer, with a voice older than fear itself. A voice that spoke before your enemies ever formed opinions about you. A voice that knew your name, before pain tried to rename you as broken, forgotten, unworthy, or lost. And when God speaks over a chosen soul, every lie that once chained them begins to tremble. There are people who looked at your silence and assumed you had no power. They mistook your patience for weakness. They thought your kindness meant you could be manipulated. But they never understood the war taking place inside you. They never saw the nights when your spirit battled darkness alone. They never witnessed the moments you almost gave up, but still found the strength to whisper one more prayer into the emptiness. That whisper mattered. In the spiritual realm, some of the quietest prayers create the loudest earthquakes. The tears you hid from everyone else became language in heaven. While the world ignored your suffering, God was collecting every fragment of your shattered heart and turning it into wisdom, discernment, and strength. Nothing was wasted. Not the betrayal, not the abandonment, not the waiting, not even the confusion. Because confusion often comes right before revelation, and revelation changes a chosen one forever. The moment your eyes truly open, you stop chasing what drains you. You stop forcing connections that suffocate your spirit. You stop begging to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. Instead, you begin walking differently, speaking differently, protecting your energy differently. There is a calmness that enters a chosen person once they realize they no longer need permission to become who God created them to be. That calmness is powerful. It is the kind of peace that scares people who thrive on chaos. It is the kind of silence that unsettles those who expected you to keep explaining yourself. It is the kind of strength that grows when someone has cried so much that fear no longer controls them. And maybe that is why your enemies became uncomfortable when you stopped reacting the way you used to, because they expected your pain to destroy you, but instead it awakened you. Chosen ones often go through seasons where everything feels stripped away. The friendships disappear, the opportunities slow down, the support fades. Even the things that once brought comfort begin to feel empty. It feels like life is collapsing. But spiritually, something deeper is happening. God is removing every false foundation so that what remains can finally be built on truth. And truth is not always comfortable. Truth will expose who truly loved you and who only loved access to your energy. Truth will reveal who celebrated your success and who secretly enjoyed your suffering. Truth will uncover the hidden motives behind certain smiles and the jealousy behind certain compliments. That awakening can feel heartbreaking at first because the soul never enjoys discovering deception. But deception cannot survive where light enters. And you were born into light. That light inside you was never meant to make you arrogant. It was meant to make you aware. A chosen one does not rise by becoming cruel. They rise by becoming clear. Clear about their worth, clear about their boundaries, clear about their purpose, clear about what deserves their energy and what only exists to drain it. And once that clarity arrives, life begins to change in ways that cannot be reversed. You may have noticed that your intuition has become stronger recently. You feel things before they happen. You sense energy shifts before words are spoken. Sometimes you walk away from situations without being able to explain why, only to later discover your spirit was protecting you before your mind understood the danger. That is not coincidence. That is spiritual discernment sharpening through experience. Pain sharpened it. Loneliness sharpened it. Survival sharpened it. Every betrayal taught your spirit how to recognize false intentions faster. Every disappointment taught your soul not to worship temporary things. Every delay taught you patience. Every season of isolation strengthened your connection with God, because when all earthly distractions faded, heaven became louder. And now you are beginning to understand something most people never learn. Not everyone who leaves your life is a loss. Some people leave because their assignment in your story is over. Some leave because your growth exposes the parts of themselves they refuse to heal. Some leave because they were connected to an older version of you that no longer exists. And while losing them hurt deeply, keeping them would have hurt even more in the long run. The chosen one's heart is often too loyal. You stay too long. You forgive too deeply. You carry people who would never carry you. You try to see the good even after repeated wounds, but eventually awakening teaches you that compassion does not mean self-destruction. Love does not require sacrificing your peace. And protecting your spirit is not selfish when God entrusted that spirit to you for a purpose. There is a reason you survived what should have broken you. Think about that. There were moments when the weight was unbearable, moments when depression whispered lies into your mind, moments when exhaustion made you question your purpose, moments when you felt abandoned by everyone you trusted, yet somehow something invisible kept pulling you forward. Something refused to let your light die completely. That something was God. Even when you doubted him, he stayed near. Even when you felt numb, he was working. Even when you could not see the path ahead, he was guiding your steps through darkness your eyes could not yet understand. Chosen ones often underestimate how protected they truly are. They focus on the battles and forget the miracles hidden inside their survival. But look closely at your life. There were situations that should have destroyed you completely. Doors that closed at the last second. Warnings you felt before danger arrived. Delays that frustrated you but later saved you. People removed before they could damage your future further. That was protection disguised as disappointment. And now, after years of tears, heaven is beginning to reveal why certain prayers seemed unanswered. Some prayers were denied because they would have tied you to environments too small for your destiny. Some doors remained closed because the version of you back then was not yet ready to carry what you were asking for. And some delays existed because God was preparing blessings your old mindset could not sustain. The chosen one's life is never random. Every season carries meaning. Even your suffering carried instructions hidden inside it. That is why your spirit has become stronger than your appearance suggests. People see your smile and assume your life has been easy. They see your calmness and assume you have never battled storms. They hear your wisdom and forget it was born from wounds. But wisdom always costs something. Depth always costs something. Spiritual maturity is expensive. It demands ego deaths, lonely nights, painful truths, and seasons where faith becomes the only thing keeping you alive. And still you survived. Not perfectly, not without scars, but you survived. That matters more than you realize, because your survival is proof that darkness failed to erase what God placed inside you before birth. There was something sacred about your existence from the beginning. That is why attacks came early. That is why misunderstandings followed you. That is why your life often felt heavier than the lives around you. The enemy attacks what carries light, and you have carried light your entire life, even in moments you forgot it yourself. Some chosen ones spend years searching for external signs while ignoring the evidence already within them. Your empathy is evidence. Your resilience is evidence. Your ability to rise after heartbreak is evidence. Your hunger for truth is evidence. Your refusal to become cold despite everything you endured is evidence. Broken people often break others, but chosen souls, even while wounded, still search for healing. That is what makes you different. Your soul was not designed for destruction, it was designed for transformation. And transformation always looks messy before it becomes beautiful. A caterpillar probably feels like its world is ending before it becomes something capable of flight. In the same way, your seasons of isolation were not punishment. They were cocoon seasons, hidden seasons, sacred seasons where God was changing your spirit in ways nobody around you could fully understand. While others judged your silence, heaven was rebuilding your identity. This is why you cannot return to who you used to be. That version of you served a purpose once, but it cannot survive where God is taking you now. The people-pleasing must die. The fear of rejection must die. The need for constant validation must die. The habit of abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable must die. And yes, ego deaths hurt. But they also free you. Freedom is terrifying at first. Because once you realize your worth, you stop settling for emotional crumbs. Once you realize your spiritual authority, you stop shrinking in rooms designed to silence you. Once you realize God walks with you, you stop panicking every time a door closes. You begin trusting that what is truly meant for you cannot be stolen by delays, betrayal, or human interference. That trust changes your energy completely. People begin noticing something different about you, not because you became louder, but because you became real. There is a glow that comes from surviving darkness without letting it poison your spirit. There is a presence that forms around people who have cried with God in private and risen stronger afterward. It is not performance. It is not ego. It is spiritual weight, and spiritual weight cannot be faked. The world is full of noise, but chosen ones carry resonance. Their words linger. Their energy shifts rooms. Their silence speaks. Their intuition warns. Their presence heals. Not because they are perfect, but because suffering carved depth into them. And depth is rare in a world addicted to surface-level living. That is why some people feel drawn to you instantly, while others feel uncomfortable around you for no clear reason. Your energy forces hidden things to the surface. Light exposes what darkness prefers to keep hidden. So people who are healing often feel peace around you, while people committed to deception feel exposed around you. Do not apologize for that anymore. You spent too many years dimming your spirit to make others comfortable. Too many years pretending not to notice things you clearly sensed. Too many years carrying guilt for being different. But your difference is not the problem. It is the evidence that your soul was never designed to sleep through life the way the world expected. You were designed to awaken others, and awakened people are rarely welcomed at first. History proves this again and again. Truth-tellers are mocked before they are understood. Visionaries are isolated before they are honored. Sensitive souls are dismissed before people realize their sensitivity was wisdom all along. The chosen one often walks alone during the beginning stages of their awakening, because crowds are usually addicted to comfort, not truth. But eventually, truth rises. Eventually, the masks fall. Eventually, the people who doubted your spirit begin realizing there was something different about you all along. And by then, you no longer need their validation because God already confirmed your identity in private long before the world noticed it publicly. That private confirmation is sacred. It happens in silence, in tears, in lonely nights, in moments where your spirit suddenly feels peace despite external chaos, in moments where you realize that despite everything, you are still here, still growing, still becoming, and becoming is holy. Because the chosen one is never truly finished, every season reveals another layer, another lesson, another awakening, another level of spiritual clarity. The pain that once controlled you begins losing power. The fear that once silenced you begins fading. The wounds that once defined you begin transforming into wisdom you can use to guide others through darkness. That is when your suffering becomes purpose. Not because the pain itself was good, but because God refused to let it be meaningless. And somewhere deep inside, you already feel this shift happening. You feel old cycles breaking, You feel old fears weakening. You feel your spirit craving peace more than chaos, truth more than attention, purpose more than approval. That is the sign that your soul is remembering who it truly is. If this message awakens something inside you, like this video and subscribe to Born into Light. Your journey is only beginning, and the light within you is stronger than you know.